For more than 75 years, Farrar, Hennesy Tanner has served many families across the whole South Georgia region. There are many stories, but a lot of you don't know the stories, so we're starting this series to share a little bit behind the scenes about the Farrar, Hennesy, and Tanner families. And to kick us off, I'm here with my dad, Kirk Farrar, who is a partner and third-generation Farrar attorney here at Farrar, Hennesy, and Tanner. So let's jump into it.
Sounds good.
So when people hear the name Farrar, Hennesy, and Tanner, what's the first thing you want to come to their mind?
I want them to think of us as servants to the community, and that we give back, that we are involved. And as far as professionally, I want them to think of that we are strong advocates for our clients, and that we work hard for them and produce excellent results for them.
One thing that I've really noticed a lot of being here, starting with the firm a few months ago, is that consistently you hear across the board people say that you guys treat them like family. So I think that those values are definitely reflected, by the clients that we currently have, and we hope that we can convey that message to people who are looking for an attorney to treat them like one of their own, that they're part of the FHT family.
Right. If you treat someone like your family and you work hard for them, and then they feel like that at the end, I feel like we've done our job.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. And I think they all do a really great job of that.
Oh, thank you.
With FHT being started in 1949 by your gramps, Arthur Farrar, can you tell me a little bit of the backstory of how the firm was started, what was his inspiration in going to law school and starting this firm, and then how that story has continued with your dad, and then the Hennessy's joining, and then Drew eventually joining as well?
Right. So, as you said, my grandfather started the firm, or decided to come to Douglas in 1949, where it started. So my grandmother grew up in Willacoochee, Georgia. It's next door to Douglas. My grandfather grew up in Middle Georgia, closer to Athens, and they met along the way, got married. My grandfather he'd been a teacher, and then he was in World War II. And during that time, I think is when he sort of grew his interest to being a lawyer. And so when World War II finished, he went to Mercer Law School in Macon, Georgia, and finished that I believe at the end of 1948. He and my grandmother, we call her Meemaw, decided to move back to Douglas and make that home. And so he moved back here and opened the practice. He got involved in the community. That was very important to him, even serving as a mayor of Douglas in the 60s. My dad, of course, grew up here, and he went off to Georgia Southern College. I don't think they would have thought my dad would be a lawyer. He was a little spunky, and anyway, he did decide to become a lawyer. Went to Mercer, followed my grandfather, graduated from Mercer in 1969, and moved back here.
So a follow up for you. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Did you think that you would be an attorney, or did your dad think that you would be an attorney?
Oh, I didn't think I would be an attorney. Growing up, it was so involved in our life. I just sort of had a chip on my shoulder. Because everybody expected, like I'd have classmates, you'll just go follow your dad and be a lawyer. And so I was like, heck no, I'm not doing that. I'm going to do something else. So I did do something else.
Right.
I went, got a degree in finance, worked for Kraft General Foods for 4 years, and then I decided to go to law school at 25, 26 years old. So I was much older, or not much older, but older when I decided to go to law school. And even when I went to law school, I wasn't sure I was coming back to Douglas immediately. But as I learned that, as I worked through law school and grew older, it was much more important for me to come back here, raise a family, be involved in the community like my father, like my grandfather, because I always saw that growing up. And so that's, Dad, like I said, Dad came back in 69. He got really involved in the community as well, sort of followed my grandfather's footsteps. My grandfather passed away in the early 80s. Joey Hennesy came, Matt's dad, and practiced with my dad until my dad retired. in 2007, and then Joey retired in 2011. And then me, Matt, and Drew have continued on, and now we have Drew's son, Andrew, with us.
One of the things that I think is so special about this firm is it's truly all started by family, and it's just been continued by family throughout the decades. And that's something that I've really been honored, and it's been a joy to share the stories of not only my own family, but also the family, stories of the Hennessys and the Tanners. So I've learned since I started here, it really is bigger than just us. And it's so cool to be able to see all that history unfold and share it with people that, might not know our full story.
Sure.
And that's something, you can't put a price on legacy, and you can't put a price on reputation. So it's really special what y'all have here, for sure.
Right. I think so. That's real important to us, and especially Drew and I are getting older, and that's hopefully what we're instilling in Andrew. And there may be people behind Andrew, anybody that comes into the firm and that continues to carry on that legacy that's been here for
the legacy and the values, because the values run so strong
Sure.
here from the very beginning. There's really those roots of stewardship, service, and making the firm something bigger than just what's within these four walls, but extending that out into the community, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Clearly you were not around yet in 1949 when the firm opened, but can you maybe give our audience, our viewers, whoever is watching this video, a little bit of backstory on what South Georgia was like when the firm opened its doors, just from what you know from your dad and what you know from Gramps?
Sure, and it would come from stories that I heard from my dad mostly. Of course, I was alive when my grandfather was alive, and as the oldest grandchild, knew him well. South, from what I've been told, South Georgia was much slower. The practice of law was a much slower thing. There weren't computers. You didn't file things on the internet. There wasn't email. It was just a much speedy. It is now a much speedier process than it was then. Right. They may work on a case and nobody come in the door for 2 days. But so when my grandfather started, now we focus, as you know, on personal injury and workers' compensation.
Right.
Back then, he did some of everything. And back then, lawyers in town would represent an entire family. So Arthur Farrar, my grandfather, he would have had families that he would have represented: the grandfather, the son, the grandchildren, and cousins, nieces, nephews.
And now you see some of those people in practice today too.
Sure, but now it's different. You get some flow over from that, but
right.
Back then it was very. It happened a lot. I mean, it was just what you did. Families didn't go to a different lawyer for the most part,
right?
Unless somebody got mad with somebody,
yeah.
right? Or there was a divorce,
right?
But so he would have done things from real estate to litigation to disputes over property lines, all kinds of different types of law.
Do you remember what his favorite was?
I don't know what his favorite was. As a child, if I went to his house, he had his recliner, and there were always a stack of books this tall that were law books.
Right.
And so where we do research now on a computer, he would take the Court of Appeals cases and the Supreme Court cases and go home and read them and make notes for what case he was working on.
Right.
And so that's sort of how South Georgia was, I think, up through the 70s. In fact, when my dad came to practice in the 70s, so attorneys and banks and probably other professionals like accountants, they would close on Wednesdays at noon. And my grandfather, I remember this, he always went fishing on Wednesday afternoon.
Maybe we should bring that back.
Yeah, we could. Today, people don't want to take off. But what they would do is they would open on Saturday mornings from 8
let's not do that.
Yeah. So they would open from 8 to 12 on Saturday mornings. And what that was is to be able to represent their clients that were in agriculture, farmers, other people that couldn't get here during the week. And they would come in and they would do, land contracts and leases and deeds and all those things on Saturdays, where, now we don't really do that because people come in during the week. But I think that was a big change that came late in the 70s or early in the 80s when, law offices did not open on Saturdays. But my dad had high memory. I mean, he remembered those events a lot because it was, he practiced for 10 years with that happening. And so it's just changed a lot, it's just changed a lot. So my dad would always say, when he practiced, he was like, your grandfather this would have been in the early 2000s. He said, your grandfather wouldn't have liked practicing law today. I'd say, well, why not? He said, it moves too fast. He would want to work on a case, like he would come in and work on a case.
Really stew over it.
Yeah, just in today's world, yes, we work hard on our cases, but it's just different.
Right.
It's faster paced.
People want results faster.
Yes.
People want checks faster. People want everything quicker and almost instant.
That's right. And so it's just a different process.
Right.
And so and I think that's even like I said, Dad retired in 2007. In 20 years,
it's changed a lot.
It's changed a lot since he's retired. So it's just a different time, and people are different, and people have more access to information than they did back then.
Right, which I think is a pro and con. And one of the things that I really love about this firm that I've noticed is y'all still have a typewriter that the secretaries work on, which I think is crazy.
Yeah.
So y'all have, those touches like that. You have a typed out Rolodex of cases that date back to when Arthur was here.
Yeah.
You also have a lot of clients that like to come in person, because I know there are some people that prefer to do everything online, don't like to step foot in the door, but I think here people really do get that personal touch from their first phone call. They talk directly to you guys, all the attorneys, and when you come in, they're meeting with the same person each time. So I think that's a really special thing that kind of is a nod back to the past, but we also have, updated technology and software now that, Gramps, Arthur, and your dad couldn't even dream of.
Right, and it helps you represent your clients more efficiently, and maybe, I don't want to say better, but you just have more access to information.
For sure.
Than they did. But it's, like you said, it's just different.
Yeah. A little bit more of a deep dive into one of the first questions I asked is, what values do you think Gramps, Arthur, whoever the people view and know him as, and Curtis passed down that you still value today in the firm?
I think it, like I said earlier, it just goes back to putting your community first, giving back, being involved, supporting, all kind of different events or whatever's going on in the community, just to help support it. As far as clients, when I first started practicing, Dad told Drew and I, he said, look, if you put your client first and you treat them like family and you work to make their outcome as good as possible, your needs and the firm's needs are going to be taken care of.
For sure.
So if you put them first and you treat them with that way, you don't have to worry about the firm, so to speak. It's going to take care of itself. And
I think that's another way of saying God's got it all in control. You just have to trust the process. You have to love people first, and I think y'all do a very good job of loving people first here. So as long as you have those values, everything else is going to fall into place.
Yeah, that's probably one of the more important things he told both of us.
It's great advice. I really love that, and I think that y'all definitely all exemplify that as I've learned a little bit more about the practice, because I grew up obviously knowing that you were an attorney, but being able to be here and work here and see that every day, it's been really, really cool to see how you carry those values on from them, and you do a good job of carrying that forward now.
Thank you. That's important.
Yeah. I mentioned earlier you are a third-generation attorney here at FHT. I'm sure there's a really big weight that you feel carrying on that legacy, so can you talk a little bit more about if you felt any pressure, if it just felt pretty natural for you to carry on that legacy?
Right. So it was actually pretty natural, because even though Dad did these things, he never burdened us with it.
Right.
In other words, he didn't sit you down and say, you're going to do this. You just learn from watching. I saw what he did. You know, and things have changed since that time. But when my grandfather did things, and my dad, even the entire time I was practicing law with him, people didn't know people knew he was doing it, but he did not seek any type of
validation or credit or...
No, he just did it because he wanted to support the community.
Right.
And
he was Curtis first, not an attorney first.
That's right. And so if he did those things, people knew there was people behind it, but you know, he did it because he wanted to, and that's what his father had done. So it really wasn't any burden on me. I just saw that's how he lived his life, and that's the way I wanted to.
So it's actually the opposite of what you would expect. You didn't feel a burden being passed on to you. It's really a gift to be able to carry that forward.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I'm not an attorney. I thought that I would go to law school. Maybe that's in the cards for me in the future. I'm not sure. But I also have felt that gift since I started to be able to tell these stories and do it in my own way through working at the firm and marketing. It really is a gift to be able to work for family and have that purpose,
Sure.
you know, drive you every day when you wake up, that you get to carry on the family legacy and you get to help people
It's not really hard.
Right.
I mean, it's just...
When you're passionate about what you do,
right.
You'll never work a day in your life. You know, you just get to wake up and help people. So it's really a gift to be able to do that.
Yeah, I think so.
So starting to wrap up our conversation here, and it's been so much fun to hear about things that I haven't heard from your perspective before, but another question that I had is, what do you think has been one of the things that has allowed this firm to operate for so many decades?
I think it just goes back to the representation of your clients. I mean, obviously giving to the community, that helps. But if you treat your clients well, put them first, provide them a good outcome, you know, everything's going to be taken care of.
For sure.
So that's why we're here, and that's why we'll be here in the future.
Absolutely. What are some of your closing thoughts? And if we didn't touch on anything, what are some things that you might want to share for people to know about FHT?
Well, I mean, I think the stories are great. It's fun to hear them. We do have a new web page coming up.
Shout out!
Yeah, that actually does talk a lot about these stories. So take a look, a week or two, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, for me, Drew and Matt and Andrew, you know, it's just important for us to show this side of ourselves.
Absolutely.
It's important for me, Drew, and Matt to share these stories because it's important to us, and now Andrew. But I want the people to know it won't be just my story, your and my story. It'll be coming in the future. Will be Andrew getting to ask Drew questions, and hopefully Matt will get to ask Joey questions.
That'll be a fun one.
Oh, that'll be great.
So, alrighty. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me, and I look forward to, you know, hearing more about Papa 2, Gramps, and other stories we have to share with everybody, and hearing the stories of the Hennessys and the Tanners.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.